I'm going to have to cut this brace off here. I don't know if I even need to call it a brace because the board needs to be behind there. So but I'm going to take a cutting wheel and cut that off so that I can put it there. Welcome back to the community, everybody, and thank you all for being part of it. Thank you who has sent in donations, bought t-shirts and stickers. It helps with the DIY videos a lot. If you'd like to, it's scrolling up the screen to go to the website or down in the description below. Thank you. Today, we are going to do part 2 series of the conversion from the padded dash to the metal dash. And there's a reason I'm not spraying it until the next video because I got to drill some holes, but I'm going to show you what I bought and we're going to test it out and see how it is and locate it into the car and drill the holes and mount it. So let's go. Now we're going to test something out before I go drilling holes in my dashboard that I just primed and finished before I paint it. Now, obviously that's common sense. What I did buy is a cozy cord. That's the name brand of it. There's other name brands too. Bluetooth 5.0. It's a stereo amplifier board. And truthfully, it does 12 to 24 volt. So you can use it in your house. And no, it's not a sponsor. I bought it. You can pick them up for around 20 bucks. But we're going to test it at the bench. Then we're going to see where you want to locate it in a dash so I can drill the holes, because it does come with chrome knobs. So it gives it that vintage look, but it's going to be hidden behind the dash with just nice chrome knobs. So I think it's a good idea. I'm still going to do the AM FM radio. We'll go over that in a minute. So let's open this up and test it first. Then I get to decide where to put it in the car, drill the holes, install it, and then next week we're going to be painting. But this is nice. At least you could see if you like this or not. I think they're pretty cool. So let's take a look at it. So let's take a peek here. I'm going to incorporate this into the car. What I might do, and I'll explain when I'm in a car, I got really good ideas for this and with still using the AM/FM factory radio like you see here. We're not going to let that go to waste. So there's going to be 2 different setups, but it will make sense of what I'm doing when it's done. Okay, so we have our DC cord that hooks up to the battery. Okay, and you see what I mean about the chrome knobs. There will be chrome knobs coming through the dash. And our little pieces, put it together, and what I would refer to as the motherboard. There's a reason that I chose this one. They have other ones that just have an on and off and volume knob. This one here has a bass and treble control too. That's for the top of it. You'll see it when I snap it together real quick. I don't want just a volume knob. Now, another thing about this one, the reason I chose it, has an app. So the equalizer, I can mess with it more. Lots of things I can do with that. But I chose this one for a reason. But we're still going to incorporate our AM/FM radio. When you see how I set this all up completely, you'll be like, okay, you can't see this, but you'll see the 3 chrome knobs coming through the dash, which makes it vintage looking. And AM/FM, the old school stereo, will still be in the dash. So you're going to have all kind of choices for music. I downloaded some non-copyright music so we can test this live. So let's get on it. So let me put this aside for a second. It's kind of tough working behind a camera sometimes, but it's okay. Not a big deal. It makes it feel like you're doing it. Let me just rip this. Geez, what they make us out of. Well, that's one tough plastic bag. Unbelievable. That was kind of weird. All right, we have our little screws, everything we need. Wow, these are baby screws. They'll be fun to mess with. There's our nuts for the front and washers. Wow, are these tiny. I wish that came assembled, but it didn't. It is what it is. I'm just separating everything up real quick here. This stuff is tiny. And there's our screws. There should be 8 of them. Oops. For the plates. Okay. And We have our old school chrome knobs that we'll show. I guess that's for hooking it up to inside the house. If you want to use like a power adapter to run it inside the house on speakers. High-end screwdriver. Probably won't use that one. What I plan on doing, you recognize this, okay? I wanted to have the 3 knobs come through here. So boink, 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 and that's where it will be. It will be behind here. I'm going to black the rest of this out so you can't see in there. Let me pull this back off. I'm going to have to cut this brace off here. I don't know if I even need to call it a brace because the board needs to be behind there. So I don't feel there's really a need for that. I guess it's just extra reinforcement. Who knows? But I'm going to take a cutting wheel and cut that off so that I can put it there. And this will actually hold it in place. Once I twist the tabs on the back, it'll hold it in place and it can sit there. Besides the speaker, unless some of you know something, I don't know why that's here for. The speaker goes in these 4 holes, the screws to it. So that's probably just some type of reinforcement with the dash, I guess, but I'm sure it'll be quite fine with that missing because I see people put gauges in here. So that's what I'm going to do there. I'm not telling you to mount yours here. That's just where I'm putting mine. I'm not telling you to cut this off of here. That's entirely up to you. Do your research before you do stuff like that. I was going to put it right in here, but there's too much going on behind here for me to do that. So I think here will be pretty cool. I'm still going to put the AM/FM Sapphire in here because I did get it working better. I'll get there with it. I'm going to be putting a bamboo tray here. So I'm going to make a custom speaker box. I don't know if I need to really film that if anybody wants to see it, with a wedge shape that's going to sit down in here above the bamboo tray for the AM/FM radio. Now, the speakers for the amplifier for Bluetooth are going to be in the back, like I discussed in my last video, part 1, for the suitcase. There will be 2 speakers in there, maybe a third, I'm not sure yet. And we'll go ahead and control this for the back speakers and our AM/FM radio for the front speaker, like a factory sound. So I hope that all made sense. That's the direction I'm going with it because I want the best of both worlds. I want the vintage look of the AM/FM, which is really cool. So I can have the speaker down in the bamboo tray, and this will be hidden behind the dash piece. You won't see any of this for except 3 chrome knobs, which will look fine because Beetles had chrome on them. So nobody would think anything of that. And those speakers will be in the vintage 1970s suitcase back in a luggage compartment. So that's the best I can come up. I think it's kind of unique. Instead of a new retro sound and $300, I only paid 20 bucks for this. And truthfully, if it lasts a year and I got to buy another one, it's a quick change out, but I don't believe that's going to happen. So, all right. I had to tell you that stuff. You know I did. So what does it have? On the back of it, here is your ports. So this would be the port, obviously, for the power, either going to your car battery at 12 volt or a home plug, you know, if you want to use it in your house with speakers. Okay, this is an aux port, I guess, for an amp if you want to make it go crazy, or if you want to hook up a subwoofer. I'm not really doing that. At least I don't think so. And then your speakers right there. And you pretty much put the wires in, screw it in, and we're golden. But I want to test this out first. Let's put it together and test it out before I put it in the car. I want to see what the deal is. And if you noticed, I have 5x7s right now. That's all I have on hand. And they say 4 to 8 ohms. And these are 4 ohm. So I never heard of American Legacy, so I don't know what the deal is with these. I just had them on hand. So we'll see how they sound. It'll take me about 3 minutes here to get everything wired up. I'll speed up some of the film. And then I am going to go to 6x9s in the suitcase. And the nice thing about a suitcase is it's closed, so it gives you that bass reflection inside. I don't know if that made sense either, but hopefully it did. All right, so we got to put, man, are these tiny. especially when you have a little bit of shaky hands. All right, there's our little holes. Put that in. Take one of these. Oh, okay, this is going to be fun. So, these are really tiny. Yikes. Put this little one in here. Take one of these. Thread it on. Now don't go crazy, just tighten it by hand. That's plenty enough. And then I'll do the other three real quick. Okay, so your little pedestals are on. We'll just make up our own names. Okay, we got to do the bottom plate. So we're going to turn it over. We'll face it towards you. And we're going to put it just like that. And now we got to, because if you see, they have threads inside them little pieces we put in. So let's put this on next. I could have swore I had little magnetic screwdrivers and I can't find them. So we're gonna, these screws are so tiny, it is crazy. But then again, why would they be big? Okay, I won't tighten that yet till I get them all lined up. I just like being unique, doing something different, but still keeping that old school look. So I think it's a good idea with the chrome knobs showing through. Geez, I almost need Heather's steady hands here and tiny fingers to hold them. Or a magnetic screwdriver would be nice. But I don't have a magnetic one that small. So I'll speed up the film now. Hold on. Okay, now, don't go crazy. These are very small screws. I'm just snugging them. That's all you need to do. It's not going to, like you're going down the road and they're going to fly off. Well, hopefully not. Okay. Okay, just in case you do buy this, that's how the bottom should look right there. So now we're going to do the top, which is cool because it's all labeled. All right, so I put them on. It was too hard to reach all the way around the tripod with something that delicate. So the screws are in, they're tight, don't over tighten them. I think these little things are like brass, so don't go crazy. Now, when you see 100 watt, technically that's if you're running 24 volts. We're running 12 volt, so it'll probably be 10 to 20 watt, which is perfectly fine. And we can hook an amp up if we need to. So, okay. Now, I'm not going to put the chrome knobs on yet because I'm going to have to take this nut off and drill and put it through the piece and then put the knobs on after I tighten it. So that's why I didn't put the knobs on yet. Go ahead and separate these two wires a little without cutting my fingers, hopefully. There we go. That is your hot and ground. And since my regular splicers broke, I got to use these, which is fine. They work. I don't know about on small wires. Yep, they do. I had the nice ones that you just squeeze the trigger and it blows the end of the wire off, but it broke. Just like every other crap tool I buy now. So there's our power, hot and ground. I'm going to go ahead and twist these up a little bit here. I'll make much better connections later. We're just testing it on the bench right now before we drill and mount it into the car. So there's that. I picked up some 16 gauge speaker wire at Walmart, and I know some of you will say, you should have went thicker. I'm not doing an amp and all that, so this will be plenty for what I'm doing, and I got to run it from the front to the back. So should I went a little thicker? Maybe, but this will work right now for just testing it out. I have 50 feet to work with, so I can waste a little here on just testing it at the bench. So not a big deal. Well, that wire's a little thicker than I thought. That'll be fine. and then we'll run it clear to the front to the back. Okay, speaker wires. Something I did notice, I needed to buy connectors. This one will fit on here, but this one's tiny. So I'm just going to twist the wires on it for testing reasons while we're at the bench. But make sure you buy good solid connectors. I'll have to pick a pack up from Harbor Freight or somewhere. So I got the speaker wires onto the board, and ignore that. This is just makeshift right now. This is not a final product. I did use the stripe for the positives is what I did, so I know where they go on the speakers. All right, so keep the laughter to a minimum. Remember, this is just dummied up on the workbench. I want to see how it works before I start drilling holes in the car. I went ahead and clipped some wires on to my battery, which is 12 volt. Okay, you can go up to 24 volt if you do have a plug at home and you want to do it in your house with some boombox speakers, whatever you feel like. Let's go ahead. I got the speaker wires hooked up. We're going to plug our DC in. So there should be a blue light here. Okay. Now it's time to Bluetooth. It's waiting to grab the Bluetooth. So let me go ahead, and this is what turns it on and off, unless you use the app on your phone. And then, of course, our bass and treble. So I'm going to turn those both down. Like I said, I'm not snapping the knobs on right now. There's no point in it until I test it out. So let me get my Bluetooth set up here. Waiting for the Samsung S5. Heather's had this forever. An S5, I'm sure you know, but it still plays stuff. So we're going to go. Okay, she has my face on there. Let me go to the Bluetooth on it. And I see Heather has a lot of... What the heck? Okay, she got a lot on there. So let's turn it on first. Okay. And I heard something go dink. Let's do scan. Scanning. Want to see how hard it is to mess with. I'll speed it up here. Okay, wow. I'm not seeing it. Oh, I don't know which one it is. Huh. Let's just try this. Pairing. I don't even know if that's it. Let me see what the directions say. Probably should read those, huh? And that's why you need directions. It says right there, the BT app. That's the Bluetooth I should be grabbing. Now, I'm not going to download the app right now, though, which has the equalizer and all that. I'll do that when that's in the car another time. But you can scan a QR code on the other side, and it has an equalizer and everything built into your phone. So our blue light is lit. I don't know if you can see that. We are going to go to our settings, Bluetooth, and I did the BT app. That's the one you want to connect to. So we're going to X out of there, so to speak, and we're going to go to the phone. Oh, Heather got a bunch of stuff in here. I got to go to my YouTube folder. All right, let's see how it works. Let me make sure her volume's up. Oh my, okay. Now with your app, you can go ahead and control the volume also. Let's turn some bass up. Oh crap, it's nicer than I thought. Well, let me move my microphone. All right, that's, wow. This is non-copyright music, so I'm safe. That, I don't know how it sounded with my microphone, but that sounded way better than I thought it was going to. I did not expect that. I thought it would be a, good get me by, but that is nice. Now I know going through a video and with my microphone, it sounds 50 times better in person because I went back and listened through my phone. It sounds okay on there, but I'm not even telling you to buy one. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I do want to do 6x9s though for a little more bass. I'm shocked. If you were here in person, completely different. You can hear the bass in it and it sounds so more clear. But my microphone obviously is picking it up differently. But yeah, that's a winner. I want to install this in the car. Now remember, in your car, obviously this needs power, but okay, I wasn't sure I turned it off. This will be going to your fuse panel. So that's not going to be going back to your battery. I'm sure most of you know that. And then, of course, that will go to your speakers. But the sound is amazing. I'm very impressed. I wished it sounded better on video, but unfortunately it don't. But I would not steer you wrong. This thing sounds great. Remember, put it in a vise. Not what I did earlier. I used an 11/32 drill bit, okay? If you've seen me starting out smaller, it's easier to knock a little dimple, smaller, larger, and larger. It's easier to get the hole started that way. I did a little bit of fouling, so let's bring you up close here, and it's a winner. I just got to make sure I get it leveled right. I drilled the holes a little bit bigger, so I think the knobs will cover it. But it looks like there's enough thread through there. I'm going to go ahead and bolt that on, and we'll put it in the car and take a look at it. And then I'll disassemble this and spray it the color that we're doing the dash in. But that is why I hit the pause button on spraying the dash white to match the car, because I'm going to be drilling some holes first and doing stuff. And I thought this didn't make any sense, spraying the dash and then drilling holes. So let's go ahead and put this in the car. I want to see what it looks like in there with the chrome knobs on it because, well, it's driving me crazy. Okay, let me take a punch first because when you're drilling, it ends up with edges and pushes through and the asteroid hits the planet or whatever. I'm going to flatten this back out of here so it doesn't hold it away. Okay, looks flat. Seems flat, must be flat. I gotta hurry up. I got live chat in a couple hours and I gotta set up for it. So we're gonna go ahead, get our 13mm socket and set this in place. And they fit right through there. It's kind of hard to get. I should have probably made like a template up and then did the holes, but I kind of kept eyeballing and measuring, and you know the deal. Okay, I'll speed this part up here. So we have our 3 chrome vintage looking knobs. Now they do have a little line on them, all right? So you're gonna want to take your volume, your bass, your treble, make sure they're all turned counterclockwise. You'll hear the click. And we're gonna put them on. Just pick a spot to put your little, I think I'm gonna have Heather just dab that little slot with some white Don't know if it really matters, but push that on. Okay, so you're going to want to try to line the dashes up, or the notches, whatever you want to call them. If not, you could pull it off and reline them, but this really isn't rocket science. Okay. Sorry I put my big head in your way. Now it's close enough. There we go. Now remember, the paint's crummy on this. When I paint it white, this will pop more with the chrome knobs. We got that, our bass, our treble. Let's snap it in the car real quick. I want to see what it looks like. I forgot to hit the record button. I cut that little bracket out that went across here, the brace. I just used a Dremel with the cutoff wheel. It was actually pretty thin metal. It cut right through it like butter. So, all right, let's go. See what this looks like. I need to paint this white. I can't emphasize that enough because it looks crummy right now, but I wanted the holes drilled before painting, and I like it. It kept that vintage style. It's going to look crooked because I don't want to twist the tabs and tighten it up yet. So let me bring you up close. Now, once I twist the tabs on it, it'll straighten up and it'll pull it in tight. That's what I was after, a vintage look, just some chrome knobs. I think it looks very nice. I'm going to go ahead and put some backing behind these fins, you know what I mean, the vents, so I don't get any fumes from the trunk or anything. But it honestly, I for $21, and it, like I said, I can't emphasize enough that it sounds so much better in person, because I did review my video on my phone and it just didn't sound that great over the phone, or maybe it is on your TV. But this thing really, I was amazed. I only have 5x7, so I do want 6x9s for some more bass, but I just used what I had on hand. But the sound is amazing. For $21, I legitimately am not trying to sell you on it. You don't have to buy it. I don't care if you do. But I wanted that vintage look. So what I'll do is hook to the fuse panel. I will run the wires down under the carpet to the back to the suitcase for the speakers back there. Bluetooth right to that. You can turn it on, turn it up and down. You have your bass and treble, or you can use the app on your phone. It has an equalizer in it too, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. The bass and treble work great for me. So I kind of like it. We're keeping that vintage look. Now I'm going to pull this all back apart and paint this white with the dash. Any more ideas for the dash? Let me know. Drop it in the comments below. I want it vintage looking. I want to feel like it's 1955 in here. It's a 1968, but it's okay. You know what I'm getting at. So I figured while I was doing dash transformation, conversion, restoration, you know, since we removed the padded dash and we're converting over to 67 and back, that style, I thought, why not do some cool stuff along the way? So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. Smash the like button. It is very, very important for the algorithm. I hope everybody has a great rest of your week.